I still remember sitting in the dark staring at my phone. Her name lit up the screen like a match in a cave. Just a single text. Hey. 2 letters. But they hit like a truck. Your chest tightens. Your thumb hovers. You've been waiting for this. Days, maybe weeks. No contact, no word. Nothing but the silence you've been drowning in. And now she throws out a hook. Casual. Effortless. Hey. You want to respond. Every part of you screams for it. But if you do, you lose. Not because texting her is wrong, but because you haven't earned it yet. See, this is where most men fail. They think getting the text is the finish line, like she's coming back, like the game is over. But it's not. That text, it's not reconciliation, it's reconnaissance. She's scanning. Does he still need me? Is he still wounded? Does he still feel small without me? And if you answer too soon, if you text her back without checking yourself, you confirm the worst thing she suspected. You never changed. Let me be brutally honest, because no one else will be. She's not reaching out because she's suddenly full of love. She's reaching out because silence creates mystery, and mystery breeds tension. She needs to know, did you level up or just lay low? And here's the trap, your brain will twist it. She misses me. She cares. Maybe this means something. But it doesn't. Not yet. Because here's the truth. Until your mind shifts, you are not ready to text her back. Until the panic settles. Until the need to prove yourself dies. Until you've reclaimed your power without needing her validation. You are just a man trying to earn his worth from a woman who already questioned it. So you wait, not to play a game, not to manipulate, but to rewire. Because power isn't in the message you send, it's in the silence you hold. And right now, she needs to feel the weight of that silence, not your weakness disguised as warmth. This isn't about ignoring her. It's about respecting yourself enough to respond from power, not panic. You don't owe her a reply. You owe yourself a transformation. And when that shift happens, when you no longer crave her approval like a drug, when your hand stops shaking before you type, when your first instinct isn't, how do I win her? But why did I ever abandon myself? That's when you'll know. That's when you'll see it clearly. She never held the power. Your need did. She could feel it even when you said nothing, especially then. Because silence from a man who's still broken feels different than silence from a man who's finally whole. One is waiting. The other has already moved on in spirit, even if not yet in body. She doesn't just notice the gap between messages. She senses the shift in energy. That invisible pull you used to radiate. That hunger, that grasping tension that said, please want me, it's gone. And when it's gone, that's when she truly feels your absence. But here's what no one tells you. This shift isn't made on a timeline. It's not wait 30 days and now you're healed. It's psychological. It's primal. It happens when the story you've been telling yourself about her breaks. Because up until now, you've made her your North Star. You measured your value by her attention. You mistook her silence as punishment when really, it was information. It told you she didn't see you the way you hoped. And that's a hard truth. But it's also the beginning of your rise. The moment you stop asking, why doesn't she love me more, and start asking, why did I love someone who couldn't meet me where I stood? That's when the healing begins. This is the psychological shift. You're not a man trying to get her back. You're a man trying to get yourself back. And there's a world of difference between those two, because if you text her now before that shift, you'll leak need. You'll come off nice. You'll try to sound unbothered. But the subtext will scream, I hope this changes something. I hope this pulls you in. And she'll feel that. Women are masters at sensing subcommunication. If you're still bleeding emotionally, she'll smell it. But if you wait, if you do the work, if you stop seeing her text as hope and start seeing it as data, then you're operating from strength. Look at that message again. Hey. What does it mean? Nothing. Everything. Depends on where you are. A man stuck in attachment sees it as a lifeline. A man who's shifted sees it as what it is, an invitation to test his center. So test it. Breathe. Don't respond. Notice what rises inside you. Is it calm? Is it clarity? Or is it that old panic dressed in a new coat? Until the panic is gone, your message will betray you. Until the story inside you has changed, your words will still beg. So don't text her back. Not until your mind is quiet. Not until your worth is internal. Not until you can say with or without her, I'm still ascending. You want to know what really makes her think twice. It's not your abs, not your career, not even how long you stay silent. It's the moment she realizes. You're no longer looking back. See, most men disappear just long enough to get noticed. They think if I vanish, maybe she'll panic. And sometimes she does. But if you come back the same man, just slightly more desperate and slightly more rehearsed, she feels it. She may smile at your message. She might even flirt. But inside, she knows she still holds the frame. And women don't chase men they control. What triggers real re-attraction isn't absence. It's elevation. It's when she sees you again, and there's something different behind your eyes. A stillness. A clarity. A self-containment that wasn't there before. You're not mad. You're not cold. You're not trying to prove anything. You're just done performing. That shift. It's rare. Because it doesn't come from reading quotes on Instagram. It doesn't come from waiting it out. It comes from death. The death of your old identity. The man who made her his emotional god. And once that part of you dies, something better can rise, the man who doesn't seek closure. The man who doesn't argue with rejection. The man who looks at the silence and says, good. Now I can hear myself again. When you become that man, your whole energy changes. You don't chase because you have nothing to prove. You don't text because there's nothing to say. You don't need her validation because you've already validated yourself in the only way that matters, by rebuilding the version of you who doesn't need rescuing anymore. This is the paradox she never saw coming. You loving her less doesn't make you weaker. It makes you undeniable. Because you're no longer responding from emotional survival. You're responding from masculine presence. And when she feels that, when she senses that the rope has been cut and you're no longer on the other end, that's when the gravity shifts. She wonders, she replays, she reconsiders. But you're already gone. Not in distance. Independence. And that's the only exit worth taking. The day you stop obsessing over what she thinks is the day she starts obsessing over what changed. Because that's the thing about human psychology, we don't crave what's available. We crave what's evolved. See, when she sent that hey, it wasn't a love letter. It was a pulse check. She wanted to see if her power still worked. She wanted to see if you'd fold the second she cracked the door open. And if you had, it would have confirmed everything she feared, that you hadn't grown, just gone quiet. But when you don't respond, or better yet, when you respond later with calm clarity and zero emotional inflation, that's when it lands. You weren't waiting. You were transforming. And now she's not sure who she's dealing with anymore. She's talking to a man who no longer worships the memory of who she was. You're not texting from longing. You're texting from leverage. That's the shift. But let me be clear, this is not about playing hard to get. This isn't about games or reverse psychology. This is about breaking the addiction to validation, to closure, to being seen. Because let's be real, you never just wanted her back. You wanted you, but the version of you who felt valuable because she reflected it back to you. And that version of you was never whole. So don't text her back to get a reaction. Don't text her back to rekindle the story. And never text her back just to relieve the pressure of silence. Text her back only when you're no longer writing to fix something inside you. When her response means nothing to your identity. Only then are your words actually powerful. Because they no longer come from need. They come from presence. The kind of presence that makes her pause. That makes her stare at the screen. That makes her wonder, did I just lose him for real? And in that moment, she'll feel it. Not the silence, but the separation. That the man she once knew, he's not picking up where she left him. He's already 10 steps ahead. You want her to feel something? Don't chase. Don't explain. Don't justify your silence. Just become the version of you who no longer needs her to understand. That's what breaks the loop. That's what stops the emotional seesaw you've both been riding since the fallout. Because as long as your moves are reactions to her, you're still orbiting her center of gravity. But when you stop reacting, when your silence isn't a tactic, but a truth, when you're no longer performing calmness but embodying it, that's when everything tilts in your favor. She'll scroll through your profile looking for clues. She'll bring you up casually in conversations just to see what others say. She'll think about the little things, the tone in your voice, the way you used to say her name, the fire in your eyes, when you wanted her and only her. But she won't find that man anymore. Because you didn't go backward. You didn't wait at the same emotional intersection hoping she'd turn around. You built a new road. That's what this shift is. It's not about getting over her. It's about building something so grounded, so inwardly solid, that you can stand in front of her again and not feel a single tremor. Because you finally realized she wasn't your source. She was just the mirror reflecting back your own desire to feel whole. And now you're your own mirror. You've stopped asking, what does this text mean? You've started asking, what do I want to create in my life with or without her? And maybe if she ever does come back, she won't find the man she once left. She'll find someone she never truly knew, someone who doesn't chase love, because he became it. Someone who doesn't fear rejection, because he no longer rejects himself. Someone who, when he texts back if he chooses to, does so not to rekindle the past, but to confirm the present. Because the old version of you would have seen her message as a lifeline. This version sees it as just that, a message. Nothing more. Nothing less. And that's power. She thought you'd stay soft, predictable, still aching, still hoping. That's why she reached out. Because in her mind, you were stuck where she left you, emotionally frozen, still scanning your phone, still dying for crumbs. But then something strange happened. She felt space. Not the kind of space that begs to be filled. Not that awkward, unfinished silence that screams, "Please text me again." No, this was different. It was a silence with weight, with clarity, with finality. And now she's the one wondering if she still has access, wondering if that thread she thought would always connect you has been cut. That's the power of psychological shift. Not loud, not dramatic, just unshakable. Because here's what she never expected. You stopped chasing not to teach her a lesson, but because you learned yours. You learned that waiting around to be chosen is the slowest way to destroy your masculinity. That checking your phone 5 times a minute is not love, it's addiction. That trying to decode her silence was a distraction from facing your own. And now you've faced it. You've felt the loneliness. You've sat with the discomfort. You didn't sedate it. You didn't text your way out of it. You let it burn. And it forged you into something else, something stable, something sovereign. She'll feel it before you say a word. That you no longer need her attention to feel valid. That your silence isn't an invitation for her to re-engage. It's a declaration that you've moved beyond the frame she put you in. And when you do speak, if you speak, your words will carry the weight of that transformation. No softness, no passive aggression, just truth, delivered from a man who finally realized. The goal was never to get her back. It was to get yourself back and never hand that power over again. You may think the test is whether she texts you first. It's not. The test is whether you flinch when she does. Because every man who's ever been broken knows this moment. The sudden buzz her name on the screen, the heartbeat spike the flood of memories. And in that exact instant, your old self wants to take over. The one who wanted to fix things. The one who thought if he just said the right thing, she'd see his worth. The one who believed love meant proving, waiting, hoping. But not this time, because this time you recognize the game. And more importantly, you recognize yourself. That's the real shift. See, when she texts you after no contact, she's not just reaching out to you, she's reaching out to the old you she remembers. The emotional version, the reactive version, the one who would crumble just to feel close again. But now you're not replying as that man. You're not thinking about what to say to make her stay. You're not trying to craft a nonchalant response that still sounds interested. You're not twisting your authenticity into emotional origami to keep her intrigued, because you're not in the same place anymore. The wound she once pressed like a button is closed. Not numbed, not buried, healed. And from that place, your response, if you even give one, has nothing to do with desire. It's rooted in discernment. Do I actually want her back in my world, or do I just miss the idea of being seen again? And if the answer is the latter, then you already know you don't text her back. Not because you're cold, but because you're clear. You don't need drama. You don't need the dopamine hit of a message exchange. You need peace. You need direction. You need a life so filled with meaning that no ghost from your past can hijack your focus. Because you're not just a man who's moved on. You're a man who's risen. And when she realizes she's no longer in the orbit of your attention, that's when her silence starts screaming louder than your absence ever did. You don't get her back by texting her. You don't get her back by proving you've changed, by showing her your new routine, by flexing discipline like a prize. You get her back, if ever, by becoming unreachable in the way that matters most. Not physically, psychologically. She needs to feel that the door she once walked through freely now requires something more than curiosity. It requires depth. It requires presence. It requires reciprocity. And here's what most men never figure out. She doesn't fall for the version of you who explains himself. She falls for the version of you who requires less explanation because your life already speaks for itself. The truth. She'll never regret losing the man who begged. But she'll silently ache for the one who learned to walk alone, the one who didn't flinch, who didn't spiral, who didn't make her silence the center of his meaning. You don't rebuild attraction with apologies and paragraphs. You do it with presence. You become so grounded that her voice becomes one of many, not the only one echoing in your mind. You become so self-directed that even if she offers her heart back to you, you pause, not to punish her, not to power play, but because the new you doesn't make impulsive decisions based on nostalgia. He makes conscious choices based on alignment. And if she fits, if she's done the work too, if her return is rooted in ownership, not guilt, maybe you reconnect. But maybe you realize that what you thought was rare was just familiar, and that the real upgrade wasn't her return. It was the version of you who no longer needed it. So don't text her back because you miss her. Don't text her back because she finally reached out. Don't even text her back because it feels right. Text her back only when you can sit in absolute stillness and know whether she replies or not. I've already won.